Good morning. On behalf of AWS Users Group Kolkata, I welcome you all on our special meetup of October edition. We have two excellent speakers joining for this session. We have Kaushik, who is joining from Malaysia, and he will share his view on well-architected framework. We have another speaker, Binita, who is joining from Kolkata. She will explain about the BI analytics on cloud using well-architected framework. Before we jump into the sessions, I wanted to give you a quick update on AWS Community Day India. As you know, this year we are doing single community day for Pan India, and we have scheduled this for 16th and 17th of October. This event is purely driven by AWS Users Group, and this is a free event where you can join from your home. This will be done via YouTube only. We are having multiple excellent speakers joining for these sessions. We have keynote speaker by Jeff Barr, who is a chief evangelist of AWS, who will be joining as a keynote speaker. You'll get an opportunity to hear from him directly. Then we have multiple excellent speakers joining from various cities, and they are, the subject matter experts in their various fields. So ranging from containers to big data analytics or IoT, you'll get an opportunity to hear from them the best practices, or if you are a beginner, you'll get an opportunity to hear from them how they have built their career on AWS. So excellent sessions we have planned for this community day. We do have a workshop which we have scheduled, and workshop are on four category. We have containers workshop, machine learning workshop, serverless workshop, and Alexa workshop. So these workshop will be driven by our AWS community heroes and user group leaders. They will give you the hands-on training on these areas. So this is going to be a very wonderful sessions. If you have not registered so far, feel free to visit the website community.day.awsuz.in and register yourself, right? So very few days are left. I would encourage you to register yourself and try to learn from industry based person on the AWS side. With that, I would like to invite our first speaker, Kaushik, to come and share his view on the well-architected framework. Kaushik, over to you.
Thank you, Ankit. Appreciate it. Hello, everyone. Hello, AWS User Group Kolkata team. Thank you for this opportunity. Appreciate having me on this group and giving the opportunity to share my thoughts on what AWS well-architected framework is and some details on how you could utilize it moving forward. Right. So a quick introduction. I'm Kaushik Mohanraj. Been with BlazeClan Technologies uh, as a developer, solution architect, and now as director of operations for Malaysia and Indonesia. I'm based out of Kuala Lumpur. I myself am a well-architected reviewer and also an APN ambassador like Ankit. That's where I got in touch, and that's where we collaborate with each other. So without further ado, deep diving into what well-architected framework is all about. Right. So as for the agenda for today, what we would be looking at is what the well-architected framework is all about. What we will discuss the 5 pillars of the framework that consists, and then do a hands-on review altogether. So this will be a very collaborative session. The con of being during this COVID time is that we are not able to network in person, but also the pro is that I'm able to give and do the session sitting out here for your user group. So there are pros and cons, but looking forward for a very interactive session and for your thoughts in the comments coming through. All right. All right. So what is the AWS well-architected framework? The well-architected framework has been developed to help and guide your cloud architects to secure high performing, resilient, and efficient infrastructure for their applications, right? So these are the 5 pillars that we will deep dive into. But when was this inception? When did the inception happen for this? It was ideated and formulated by AWS in 2012, right? And they developed the basic 5 pillars for this, right? And they made design principles for each of these pillars. And with time, they developed a basic checklist which suggests that what are the do's and don'ts for your ecosystem on any cloud. So having said that, this was developed by AWS themselves and their engineers. This is not restricted to AWS alone. This can be applied across cloud service providers, be it any other cloud service provider, or even in your on-premise activities that you do. So it's a very generic universal checklist that you could do. So these checklists is what culminated to be the questions that is part of the well architected tool that is available to you on the AWS console, right? So quickly, whenever I talk about this, most of my customers would ask, why would I want to apply well-architected framework? I have my team doing the work through and through. Why do I need this? So there are basic things that the well-architected framework helps you with. First is learn and adopt AWS best practices, right? So it outlines, it's out there, and you can't miss that out if you're following it. Second is mitigate the risk that is involved in managing the ecosystem. Beyond that, make data-backed decisions. When I say make data-backed decisions, here basically it means that all your actions that you take will have sufficient information, so that you take the required remediation for that, right? And then build and deploy faster, which means that faster time to market, faster time to remediate your problems and remediate your issues, and so on and so forth. So these are the things that are there that can be that will be helpful in case of using well architected framework. So what are the well-architected pillars? The 5 pillars that we are going to be going through today would be the operational excellence, security, reliability, performance efficiency, and cost optimization. So these are the pillars that AWS have put up, and for each of these verticals. So now, assuming that you are working in AWS or with some of the cloud service provider, or even on your on-premise solution, what is the most critical aspect for you and for your organization? Do put in your comments, your thoughts in your comments in the comments there. Look forward to understand what is the most critical point for you, and why. Maybe you can just tell me in the recent past why in the comments. Do drop in your thoughts in the comments, please. So there's a lag of about 7 to 8 seconds between the stream and on the YouTube. So I will be taking a short break, a short gap, just to see the comments coming through. So in my experience, what we have seen, what we have seen with most of our customers is that security and cloud cost optimization being the most critical for most of them, right? They want this as a first thing to be resolved for them, right? That having said, right, we will run through in deep dive into these 2 pillars, and glance through the other 3 pillars and the importance of those as well. So cost optimization pillar, and what are their design principles? So as I mentioned, each of the pillars have a defined design principles set that we will run through, and these are the set of them. And I'll just go into the first one, which is the adoption of a consumption model. When I say adopt a consumption model, what are we saying here, right? So to adopt any particular model, first thing that you need to do is right size. You need to right size your environment. Either you have over provisioned or under provisioned, or it is right size. So first thing of to determine that you are optimally using your infrastructure is to right size it. Next is schedule non-critical resources. When I say schedule non-critical resources, is basically things like, let's say, your non-prod environment, right? What do you want to do with your non-prod environment? You don't use it during your weekends. You don't use it after your office hours, say, right? So how, can you just take that and say after 6:30 or after 7 p.m. every day, switch off my instances and switch it on only the next day at 8 o'clock. Friday night, switch it off and switch it on only on Monday. So as compared to 720 hours that you would be utilizing in a month, you would end up somewhere using only about a few hundred hours or 300 hours of that. Almost 50% you would cut down if you do scheduling. This way, you're cost optimizing your utilization. Next is savings plan and reserved instances. Uh, Savings plan, basically, when we say savings plan, it is an logical entity in the way you would you know, help save cost, where you give a commitment to AWS saying that this is how much I'm going to use for what duration, 1 year or 3 years, and then take the benefit of it of getting cheaper price per hour against the on-demand pricing. So it's a logical entity by available to you, and that's something that you could utilize to save your cost, right? So right size it, that's very critical. Then schedule it, and then whatever you require, do a savings plan and do a reserved instance. All right. What is the second design principle that we have? The second design principle that we have is measure overall efficiency. As I said, it is critical that you have data in your hand, right? To make the right decisions. So measure overall efficiency of your workspace, your workload or your ecosystem that you have on cloud. So measure cost for maintaining your workload. So how much cost that you are spending on, let's say, your AWS bill, your human resource to manage it, all of that, right? Ensure that you have that in place. Next is measure business output of workload. The two reasons why we are saying this, the target for us is to reduce cost, increase output, so that you in the long run you have automated many things to see that your cost for maintaining workload is low and your total output out of the workload is very high. So that's the main motto that you have to keep in mind, right? And that's what is going to help you by measuring the overall efficiency. Next is analyze and attribute expenditure. Now that you have the data, you want to know, how can I analyze this data? How do I make sense out of it? First thing that you need to do is tags, a very efficient tool now available with most of your services. Tag all of your services, right? Once you tag it, define a structure to it. This way you are able to attribute the cost and measure them, right? This then allows you to define ownership from your let's say different departments that you have in your group, in your organization. You have your HR department, your finance department, your dev department. Each of them, what are the resources, how much are they utilizing, and then attribute that cost so that you have a cost center definition and all of that, right? So this is very critical. So analyze and attribute your expenditure. Next, the two other design principles at large, and which is very self-explanatory, is stop spending money on data center operations. So as a cloud user, you would, and if you have used on-premise infrastructure before, you would know what problems that a cloud on-demand cloud service is solving. Your turnaround time to get your services, right? You don't have to wait for 5 weeks and to wait for your infrastructure to come through, and you don't have to focus your cost for the next 5 years, right? You can fail fast and experiment in a cheap way, right? So that fail fast mantra is very critical, and that helps you to save costs in the long run, and you know whether your R&D project that you're working on is worth the money or not in a quick way, rather than waiting for that investment, right? And planning for that to happen. So stop spending money on data center operations. And next is use managed services to reduce cost of ownership. As I mentioned before, we want to reduce the total cost of operations. So that the only way to do that is automate them or use managed services available from AWS. A good quick example is using RDS rather than using your MySQL on an EC2 server, right? Or using an Elastic Cache server for your caching requirements, and so on and so forth. So that's one way. So this is more from your architecture perspective and from your cost evaluation perspective. Don't just compare using an EC2 for your MySQL versus an RDS. RDS is a bit expensive, but in the long run, the effort and the human cost factor that is involved is much higher, and that will increase your cost of maintenance. So hence, take that into mind and ensure you reduce your cost of ownership by using managed services. So what are the best practices as part of the pillar? So we have completed the design principles. What are the best practices and what are their enablers? So first thing is expenditure awareness, right? How do you do that? What are your enablers? Use Cost Explorer or use budgets, AWS budgets. Cost effective resources. For cost effective resources, use savings plan and trusted advisor with, for enterprise support users, you have trusted advisor access. Ask them where they evaluate your ecosystem and give you suggestions for right sizing, for using the right type of infrastructure, and so on and so forth. And then finally, we have AWS CloudFront for which I've put in, and maybe many of you would say this is a misfit here, but no, it's a very cost-effective resource for utilizing your data from directly from EC2 for MS3 and reducing your data transfer cost in many cases, right? So that's one. Next is matching supply and demand. Ensure that you're right sizing it and scheduling it and auto scaling it as required. And next is optimize over time. Always review your infrastructure in a periodic way. Have an SOP in place so that you are optimizing it over time. Right size it and adopt newer features, which helps you to reduce cost. So if you would choose an M4 against an M2, you would get a better performance, which is from a performance efficiency, and also you get a better cost in most cases and most scenarios. So always look out for adapting newer features for better performance and better cost. So in summary, always start small when you're experimenting. Start small, do right sizing bits, and then go for a savings plan. Don't just go for a savings plan right in the beginning. Next is periodical reviews, establish cost of ownership, operation of cost, automate and use managed services. So feel free to drop in your questions into the comments as we progress. Maybe here I'll just take a short break to see if there is any questions in the comments, and then move on to the next pillar, which is a security pillar. All right. So we have a question from Mandavi Kumari. Which approach is more efficient for configuring AWS infrastructure, automation tools like Terraform, or like through CloudFormation? So there's no right or wrong answer for this, Madhvi. So the point here is that CloudFormation or Terraform is based on the efficiency of it. The CloudFormation in itself, if you are only on AWS, I think I would advise use CloudFormation in most cases. Terraform would be a very specific approach where customers are multi-cloud. They are using AWS and let's say Microsoft Azure. Then in these cases, Terraform might be a more tangible approach because you can use the same script across various cloud providers. So you with minimal tweak here and there. So that's one. So there's no specific answer to that. So both are powerful tools that you could use. There's another question from Sivakumar, CloudFormation or Terraform, which is more in demand in market in India. So Siva, if this question is from a specific thing where you want to upgrade your skills and focus on that, I would advise use doing Terraform first and then CloudFormation. More specifically, because enterprises want multi-cloud environment. And having that said, CloudFormation is also very similar to an extent where you will also gain that understanding. So either ways, you're not losing. So an investment of time in either of one will help you in the other, right? All right. So no other questions in there. So we'll move on to the next one, which is the security pillar. So as I said, please drop in your questions. We'll take them as we progress. All right. So what are the design principles for, these are the design principles for security pillar. We'll go through them, but I have a very specific question to ask to all the members here who are viewing the session. Have you heard about the shared responsibility model of AWS, or which is specific to any cloud of AWS, which is, have you heard about them? If yes, and even if not, I'm going to give a quick review of what that is. So basically, there is, something called responsibility of security of the cloud, which means the compute, storage, database, networking, all the infrastructure level security, or the hypervisor level security. All of that is AWS's responsibility, right? The physical infrastructure, all of that is their responsibility. But anything over and above that is customer responsibility. The kind of data that you hold, how you secure it, the security at your application layer, the security of the way you configure your networking, all of that is your responsibility as a customer or as an AWS user. So this is something that you need to be very, very critical about and be well aware of this. I will be calling this again and again, calling this out again and again, because this is where most of the customers using AWS services falter. So keep this in mind. So the first design principle of security is implement a strong identity foundation, right? So for those who are using, you would be aware of your services like IAM, STS, and so on and so forth. How do you use that? So ensure that you always use IAM services to give least privilege access, right? When I say least privilege access here, I mean ensuring that you give access only to what is required for that particular user, which also goes back to the second point, which is separation of duties. If I am a DBA, I don't need access to maybe to configuring a VPC or KMS, right? Me having access only to RDS and Elastic Cache service or DynamoDB service would suffice. So ensure that you are segregating the duties and in a way that you're able to say that this user does this, and accordingly give least privilege access to these users, which is very critical. This helps you to reduce the blast radius in case of an eventuality where user access is compromised. They don't have access to admin access and to exploit and increase your bill, exploit that access and increase your bill. They or even run mining and all of that. So that way you're ensuring that it is in a controlled manner. And finally, centralize and automate it. So like enterprises, you would have your ADs that you're using for users who are joining your company and you're leaving your company, which is auto managed, right? So why not tag your AD to your IAM access so that as soon as a user joins and is added to a group in your tree or a branch, you are well aware as to what their services are, and then you give them the required access. And then it is centralized and automated so that the next day he leaves the organization and AD is updated automatically, his access to your AWS environment is also done, right? So that's one way of looking at it. Then moving forward is basically your next design principle, which is enable traceability. When I say enable traceability, one is monitor and alert. So use services like CloudTrail, CloudWatch to monitor what is happening when, and then alert your users. That's one. Apart from that, audit actions and changes so that once you're monitoring it, you have the data, audit them periodically so that you know what changes are happening. By even if someone is authorized to do that, you need to audit it so that only specific users are able to do those changes. Okay. And then finally automate it so that there's minimal human intervention and human actions that are being done. All right. Okay, so moving on to the next one, which is apply security at all layers, which is very critical. You can consider this at all 7 layers, or at every layer where right from setting up your OS, harden your AMI, or harden your IAM security policies, uh, harden your policies the way you would store data uh, on, let's say, on S3, ensure that it is encrypted, and also in transit that it is done only over an HTTPS or an SSL network, right? So that it is protected and in all ways. So there are various things to this, and ensure there is an defense in depth approach that we are doing for this. All right. So this is something that you need to keep in mind. So automate and apply security at all layers. So this is one thing to keep in mind. Next one is automate security best practices. When I say automate, templatize it. Use CloudFormation or Terraform to ensure that you have all your policies. You're mandating your users to create, use only the golden image or the hardened image, right? Uh, Mandate the way that automate in a way that any new user created without enabling MFA, they cannot access any of your infrastructure. Automate password rotation policy, automate tagging policies for all your infrastructure. So this way you're enforcing security at all levels. So the way you would do that is by templatizing it, and then of course automating that entire process, because finally human error is a scope at all levels. So ensure that you automate it and there is no scope of error over there. Next one, and which again, there are three things which is very self-explanatory. Protect data in transit and at rest, as I mentioned before. Uh, Keep people away from data, and finally, prepare for security events. When I say that prepare for security events, having said that all enterprises and even DNBs or digital native businesses, they take all the required precautions, there will be a security mishap that would happen someday or the other. So you need to be prepared for that, have an SOP in place, and have the do's and don'ts in case of such an event happens, right? So prepare for the worst always. That having said, those are the design principles. So what are the best practices and enablers? Best practices is identity and access management. Use AWS IAM and STS. Use detective controls like CloudWatch, Config, and CloudTrail. Infrastructure protection using VPC security groups and hardened AMI, right? And auto scaling groups in some level when I say ASJ, so that you gracefully fail in an event and then you are ready for it to manage it and you buy time for yourself, for your operations team. Data protection is from encryption, encrypt all of your data at rest and in transit, use security groups and use AWS Certificate Manager if where required. And finally, incident response. Use tools like CloudWatch, CloudFormation, and EventBridge so that you are able to manage them in case of an incident. So in summary, um, a golden thumb rule for all IT folks: security is day zero activity. Before thinking of anything else, performance, how do you want to operate it, how do you want to optimize cost, think about security first. Security is a day zero activity. And having said, is also an ongoing activity. So being aware of the shared responsibility model is one critical aspect that you need to be aware of, right? And automate and templatize wherever required and prepare for the worst case scenario, right? So these are the main points that I wanted to highlight as part of this. So do drop in your comments if there's anything. We'll be moving through, just in interest of time. We have another 20 minutes to run through the other three pillars. So we'll just glance through what those pillars are and then do a hands-on with each one of us on this session. All right. So the next one is performance efficiency pillar, and we'll talk about these design principles as we grow. So if you would see what these are in depth, in detail over here as we progress. So democratize advanced technologies. We want to say periodical reviews of advanced technologies. So from a performance angle, you might do something today, which is the best, but 1 year down the line, with the rate of innovations that AWS does, your solution that you have might be outdated already. So always democratize the most recent features that are available. That might be at a cost, but if you want to make that tweak, you might save in the long run. So always, look out for, have a periodical review and look out for advanced technologies. Managed services, as I said, performance is has a multifold benefit when you use managed services. From, let's say, from uh, getting back from a failure, a failed instance, coming back, heal auto heals functionality, or auto backup, and so on and so forth. Use managed services. That helps a lot in with performance optimization. And finally, this helps you to focus on business needs always. So ensure that you're focusing on what the business requirements are, and don't either under provision or over provision it, and focus on what the business needs is and focus on that. Uh, for performances, as you would ask, the new trend is, going to serverless technologies, you using microservices, doing away with monolith applications wherever possible, and finally is, in some cases wherever required, use containerization, right? Containers. So this is the trend, and this is what, if at all you are looking at what to focus on, this is something that you want to learn, understand, and adapt to, right? This helps in cost optimization, performance, and even in operations to some extent. So always have event-based resourcing. That could be using Lambda, Event Bridge, and other step functions in place to put through the details, and then you work that out. Next is lower your operational overhead, so that with this, you don't have servers to maintain, and it's an event based. You don't have to maintain a server 24 by 7. You don't have to schedule your resources for non-prod resources, and so on and so forth. So these are a few things that you can do to reduce your cost, reduce your cost and improve your performance, and then indirectly lower your operational cost as well. So other aspects that and which is self-explanatory is, go global in minutes. Where with this, as you would know, with AWS, you could actually adopt services across the globe, irrespective of where you are, where your entity is, or where you're registered as a company, right? You can use your Singapore infrastructure sitting in India, or sitting in Singapore. I could use Sydney, US, or any other region. So go global, reach out to your customers, don't restrict your customer base to the region where you operate from, and go global using cloud services, which is there, which give you the global infrastructure, right? Next is with performance, which is very important, is experiment often. As I said, with cloud services, you can experiment in a cheap way and fail fast. So that's one mantra that is helping many customers to grow and innovate at a very large, fast pace, right? So experiment often, and then finally have mechanical sympathy. Having said, ensure that finally what you're working with is machines, and ensure that you have mechanical sympathy, which, and consider them and plan for eventualities accordingly. So, all right. So, what are the best practices and enablers here? So, select the right kind of infrastructure and network you need, that is compute, storage, database, or network. Review periodically, and use AWS blogs, AWS what's new. Keep a watch at that. And if you need help, reach out to APN ambassadors or APN AWS heroes. uh, Ankit is one of them. You can reach out to each one of us, and then we'll be happy to help you. Or reach out to APN partners who have competencies from select tier to advanced tier to premier consulting tier, who can help you with these services, right? And then what is monitoring is in Amazon CloudWatch, logging methods. Evaluate your trade-offs by at a cost, performance, and operations level. See what is a benefit. Maybe it is not worth the cost, even if you have to forgo some performance benefits. It's not worth putting that cost. Yes, then make that choice, and ensure that you are evaluating your workload accordingly. All right. So yes, so these are the points. A quick summary of what performance efficiency pillar is: make informed decisions, periodical reviews to review advanced technologies, architect your ecosystem to be loosely coupled so that if at all you have to change something at some stage to leverage better technologies, you are able to do that, and you don't have a technical debt on that, right? And measure and review your performance. So know your metric. So these are the main points with respect to performance. I see one question or one point there from Manish, which is there a way to manage and templatize IAM policies centrally across multiple AWS accounts? Yes, there are ways. At a very high level, you could use AWS organizations, and from there on, there are ready-made templates that are available on AWS, IAM blogs that are there for IAM best practices, and you could use that. So I have customers who have a dedicated account, which is a account for AWS account users only, and setting up all the policies in a centralized way, right? So they have that in a centralized way, and any change required is to be done only in one account, irrespective. And one policy change there is applied to about the other 100 accounts that are being used. So that's one way to do it, right? So yeah. So if there is any other questions, drop in the comments. I'll take it as we progress. So moving to our next pillar, which is reliability pillar, right? So how reliable is your ecosystem deployed on the cloud, right? How good or reliable is it, and how do you manage it? So the design principles that we'll be talking about are like how do you scale, how do you not guess capacity, and so on and so forth. We'll see them in depth. So first is go micro, right? Ensure that you can break it down to a smaller segment, which could be as a function using AWS Lambda, right? And so if you have a program that does 10 operations, use write 10 different Lambda functions, segregate all of that at Lambda layers, whatever is common programs that you need or thing that you need to access, put into layers and break it down further. Say that this function does this and then orchestrate it using step functions. Go micro as much as possible, and then scale horizontally. Don't look to scale vertically. When I say scale vertically, for those who are new, instead of going from M4 large to M4X large, go from M4 large, do a additional instance. So scale, right? So do two M4X larges, M4 larges. So that's the way that we would do. And always remove single point of failure. So always ensure that you have a fallback plan, backup plan to rescue you in case of an event. So here it could be multi-AZ setup or a DR setup, which is multi-region, or taking backups, regular backups as required, right? So these are the options that you have. Beyond that, again, self-explanatory is stop guessing capacity like you would do on-premise. Don't think what I would need, hit something. Maybe if you have a gut feeling that this is the number of cores and vCPUs that I need, just put it through, see how the performance is, benchmark it, and then scale it up or scale it down, right? And then that is your right size environment. Stop guessing what you need and what you need to do, and manage changes in automation. So this is from the second point, which is auto scaling, maybe as an example, so that you can do it. Or fallback plan in case of a DR, you use your DNS Route 53 to fall back from your primary instances to your secondary in your DR region, right? So these are ways to automate your reliability from a perspective. And then is test recovery procedures. So even though you have a recovery procedure, ensure you're testing it from time to time. Not that once you have a DR procedure, you have your DNS set up, someone somewhere does a DNS change, and in case of a eventuality, you don't the fallback doesn't happen, right? So you keep testing them periodically and automatically recover from failure using these tools, right? So what are the best practices and what are the enablers here is basically foundation set, check what are your service limits in case where you're scaling up. you be aware of what your service limits are. You know, EC2 has a soft limit, let's say at 20 instances for your account. Ensure that you're aware of it in case where you have a specific event coming up and you want to scale them to 40 instances. Be sure that you have increased your soft limit or service limit as well. Use trusted advisors wherever you can, and if at all you can, as an enterprise support customer, and ensure that you are setting up your VPCs and subnets in an optimal way. When I say optimal way, plan for the future for your VPCs. And good example is, let's say you have AWS, like let's say in Singapore, until last year we had only two AZs. Now we have three. So in this case, if at all if I want to utilize the third one and my VPC is already using the entire CIDR block, you're already logged in. So always plan to have your VPC, have a separate CIDR block reserved in case of a new AZ coming in. So that's one example to look at, right? And how you plan your CIDR blocks for your VPC. Change management, ensure that you have everything audited and monitored. So use config to ensure that you're in line with whatever is happening. Use CloudWatch and use CloudTrail. Um, Failure management, again, how do you automate it? Use managed services, use CloudFormation, and use CloudWatch for everything. So in quick summary, focus on a strong foundation, very critical. But at the same time, don't overthink it. Don't overthink it, and don't you know keep guessing on the size. But set up the right foundation, though. Right? Go micro and not monolith. Use managed services and plan for failure always. All right. I don't see any questions in as yet on this. Maybe if you have any specific questions, do drop in, and then we'll take that towards the end. So our final pillar for today would be operational excellence. So this is, I feel, is a very dry because it doesn't have many technical aspects to it. This is very specific from a cultural aspect of how you adopt and how you use technology, right? Though it's dry, it is very critical and is the basis for the success of cloud adoption or best practices for it, right? This is like make it or break it kind of a pillar. That said, right, so performance, I will go through each of these design principles and deep dive into each one of them. So perform operations with code. When I say is that infrastructure as code, use cloud formations and deploy, let's say, your new environment for your infra for your team. Each one, let's say, a new team wants to do a development. They want to develop dev environment. A ticket is created, let's say on Jira. Jira raises goes for an approval. Approval is done, triggers a Lambda function. Lambda function deploys the code for you, and that access is all the access details is emailed to you using SES. So that's an operational overhead being reduced. And wherever there's a new requirement, everything is uh, as a code, and there's no human intervention required. So that's one way of reducing your operation activity. Next is event driven, as I said, right? Make it event driven in case of anything, any operations, be it pre go live or post go live as a operation bed. Uh, an example could be EBS volume being full. How do you want to tackle it? You review it, see what logs are there, delete it, and so on and so forth, or increase your EBS volumes. To do that, how would you do it? Or move those logs to S3. So these are the few things. So every use case will have a different solution, but that's one way to look at it. Make it event driven as much as possible. So operation as code limits human error. Next one is make small but incremental changes, right? So that this is possible only if you go micro. If you have a monolith, this is not going to be possible. So go micro and then make small incremental changes so that even in case of something breaks, the blast radius is small, of limited to that change in most cases, right? Unless it is impacting some various other components in the system. Next one is automate these changes. When I say automate these changes, it could be like your developer has developed some application, a change from his branch is pushing the code, automate the test to be done. So a test case is automated, it is tested, is verified, that test report goes to the approver. The approver has the access to the automated test report. The test report is a success, then it goes in. Without, or even there could be an automated approval with a pass from the test report. It automatically does the deployment into VS Code. The deployment here, instead of doing the deployment in each of your auto scaled instances, let's say there are 10 servers, you don't do each one manually. You just use auto scaling group, change the AMI, and then do it uh, to ensure that all of your instances are using the new code or a blue green deployment and so on and so forth. So this way you automate these changes that you're doing. Next is, of course, as I said, and then revisit your operation period, procedures periodically. Don't leave it once you set it up. Just don't leave it. Keep reviewing them and evolve it, because as you progress, you'll learn a lot, and implement those changes and ensure that you're reducing your operational overhead, right? And how do you ensure that all of your team members are aligned and abreast about all about these things? Is have periodical game days. uh, Take one particular Friday, or and then play it out. Say, break something, for your operation guys. Have a chaos monkey run, break your environment, see how the team work, and have how your SOPs are in place. What are the issues? What is the turnaround time to resolve it? So have periodical game days in place, so that you can test out your procedures as well, and your team is very well versed with that. So that's where the cultural aspect comes into picture. All right. The other points that is self-explanatory is learn from all your operational failures. As I said, you will keep learning from them, evolve and adapt, and then anticipate failure. As always, in security, performance, and everywhere, anticipate failure and plan for them. Right. So what are the best practices and enablers? Prepare. So use config and config rules to ensure that you are monitoring and all of your changes that is happening in your account. Operate using CloudWatch, monitor them, and then so that you have data, and then evolve using various services. So that's one. In summary, what I would like to call out is learn and understand your needs of your stakeholders from an operations perspective. So that's what will help you define the right operation SOPs in place. Next is efficiently support business outcomes by automating procedures, evolving procedures, and make database-based decisions. So this is what is very critical from an operations perspective for your team, big or small. This is very critical. If you are small, you have an advantage. Don't think that we are very small team. Having a tribe knowledge is enough. I have it in my mind. I share it with my team, and I'm done. Don't do that. Ensure everything is documented. Don't believe in tribe information. Uh, Plan and do it when you're small, so that when you scale up, it's not an issue. And for bigger teams, it's not too late. You can still do it, right? So that's the end of the 5 pillars that we are doing. So maybe I can take questions. I see one question from Rajat Ghosh. Yes, you can do that using AWS organization with switch role to control. Yes, so I think that's an answer to Manish that Rajat has given. So happy to take questions. So now in the next section, what I will do is we'll do a hands-on, and please share your thoughts in the comments. I will like to see your thoughts over here. So basically, and before going to that, so a few resources that you could probably use. So as part of the hands-on, I have an architecture which deliberately I have put some parts which could be improvements. Some are good in the best case scenario. And I'm looking forward for your comments as to what are the improvements that you see and what are the good things that are being practiced. So you can add into your comments based on the points that we see. Yeah. So, and if at all something has to be changed, do add that in. All right. So if you see, this is the ecosystem that I have for a customer as a sample one. It has an on-premise connectivity to on-prem image processor and image store, which is accessing over the internet the AWS environment, right? I have one NAT gateway, an auto scaling group, and so on and so forth. There are few parameters that I have put in, maybe for your consideration. The average CPU utilization is about 10%. Auto scaling is set to 1, max is 2. All in one account. There are three availability zones, but all is set up in just two of them. The instance size review was done 2 years ago. And pricing plan, it's using on demand. And as I said, on-prem connectivity is over the internet. And backup is happening as automated, but is using Lambda. So if at all you have to make some change as an AWS user, what is the change that you would make? Sure, Joy. I will. I can share. I'll share the link with the group, and we can put that across. Uh, but yeah, so I think I'm looking for some points. Those who are online, do share your thoughts as to what is a change that you would that you would do in this infrastructure. If there are no points in the next 20 seconds, I will highlight some. All right. So in interest of time, what I'm going to do is just call out few points. One is average utilization is 10, so it's not right size. So I'm going to reduce the size of the server to bring it down. Account strategy, I would change it to use across 3 availability zones to best utilize it, right? And from a deployment tools, I might automate it using our cloud built tools that we have in the AWS infrastructure. From a pricing point, once I have right-sized it, I might go to a savings plan or an RI. From here, maybe NAT gateway, I might auto scale it, or I also have a redundant NAT gateway across availability zones in case it goes down. For the internet connectivity, the access, I would do it over a VPN, site-to-site VPN, so that access is in a secure way. And finally, backups. Yes, one good thing is it is automated backups using Lambda, but maybe now I have a new service. I would use maybe AWS backup service that automates services. And if you would be aware, recently last week they announced automated backups for Windows instance in a very optimal way as well. So that it manages uh, the stability of the image that is being taken. So I would use managed services like AWS backup instead of using my own custom script on Lambda. So these are the few things that I would do on this infrastructure. You can point it out in the comments now and later. Whenever, if you're viewing it on demand, you can just see this and see what are the things put in your comments as well, right? Share it with the community. All right. So that's about that. I'm open to questions, if any. And in time, I'll just run through about who we are as Blaze Clan. We are a born in the cloud company based out in Pune. We are headquartered in Pune, but we operate in various regions globally, which I'll talk through. We have end-to-end cloud competencies, and if you're looking for any assistance on this, I'll reach out, buzz me in, and would be happy to help. So these are the regions that we work out of. I'm based out in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And as I said, I look after the business over here and in Indonesia. And we are a premier consulting partner, and have these competencies, and we are growing as a leader in this region. So yeah, and these are the services that we work on, right from cloud advisory to cloud native app development, DevOps, and managed services. So yeah, happy to hear from you. If there's anything, reach out to me. And yeah, thank you for your time. So Ankit.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kaushik, for excellent sessions. Viewers, if you are having any question or doubts, you can post into the comment and Kaushik can reply to those questions.
Sure,
With
sure.
that,
I think,
thank you so much.
yeah,
Yeah, Kaushik, go ahead.
I think I'll take it up in the comments. If there's any, I'll just answer over the comments maybe directly, and we can just go on to the next speaker. And I'll share the deck with you. I think Joy wanted if you could share the deck, I'll share the link with you and that can be accessed as well. All
Sure.
right.
Thank you so much,
And for
Kaushik, for
similar
the
sessions, you can reach out to me on you can view my sessions on YouTube channel as well. So I'll share that across. All right.
cool. Thank you so much, Kaushik. So, moving ahead, we have our next speaker, Binita. She's based out of Kolkata. She works for PwC. She's joining as a next speaker. Binita, maybe you can share your screen.
Yeah, sure. Hi everyone, I'm Binita. So let me share my screen first. I hope you are able to see my screen. Ankit, to confirm.
No, Binita.
Now,
Yeah, it's coming now.
okay,
Yeah, you're good to go.
sure. Hi everyone, I'm Binita from PwC. Uh, we work in data and analytics team of PwC, where my focus area is AWS as well as the data from data management practice. And today we will be looking into the data lake and BI visualization using AWS and the best practices using a short hands-on AWS's BI offerings. So let's start with what is the data lake and what is the need of data lake in today's world. So if we see the business today, the business is growing rapidly all the sectors, and the main focus area of any sectors are the market expansion, the pricing of the different strategy, and the customer segmentation. So in expansion, we can see that how should one identify that priority markets for expansions based on the customer and competitive factors. In the strategic pricing, we need to design a dynamic pricing strategies that always integrate to a broad set of customers and macro factors which will benefit of them all. And in the customer segmentation in today's world, we can integrate a diverse set of internal and external data to achieve a more useful segmentation for the different set of customers. So if we divide the data management before and after the data lake, so we can see that before it was more of intuitive business insights, it was cost focused, and it was also siloed decision making process. So once this analytics data and analytics came into picture and the data lake need is there in the present scenarios, there the data management got transferred into data driven business insights and intuition. It is more value focused and it is also collaborative decision making. Now, data generalists and programmers can help in a tap the stream data for real-time analytics. Data scientists are there to take care for discovery and ideation. The lake can serve as a staging area for the data warehouse, the location of more carefully treated data for reporting and analytics in the batch mode. Data lake is being implemented into different segments of industry, be it operations, sales, marketing, HC, and finance, where we are keeping all the data in a centralized data store, and we are doing different kind of analytics in data analytics platform. We do big data work on top of that. We also have classical legacy data warehouse, and we also have function specific standalone data. The global data lake market size is expected to grow from 7.9 billion USD from 2019 to 20.1 billion by 2024. So, increasing need of extract in-depth insights from growing volumes of data to gain competitive advantage and simplified access to organizational data from departmental silos, mainframe, and legacy systems. These are the driving and growth of the data lake market. The shift towards the cloud-based data platforms to manage and mitigate data issues in a gaining transaction and expected it also to provide the opportunities for the growth of organization in the market. So the data lake market is mainly segmented by the business function into marketing, sales, operations, finance, and human resources. The The operation business function is expected to go at a highest CAGR during the forecast period. Data Lake enable companies to increase operational efficiencies also, and also it helps us to reduce cost. Data Lake solutions also service help to store and analyze structured and unstructured data both in the form of information, and it can turn it into relevant information and insights. So nowadays, what is happening that numerous companies are implementing data lake solutions and services to evaluate their internal processes and thus enhance the operations. Data lake implementation assists companies to strike the right balance between operational cost, speed, flexibility, and the data quality. The marketing business segment is expected to hold the largest market size during the focus period. Data lake solutions thus enable us to precisely segment of potential buyers and facilitate a deeper understanding of those buyers, their needs, and the motivations by the analyzing and the data generated from various sources. The sources such as social media, call logs, and service forms. So next, if we see what are the essential elements of a data lake should have a storage, a data lake can have servers, data lake have networking. It also needs to have proper security. Databases also can be part of data lake as we can both hold structured and unstructured data there. It has also analytical engines. Then it has dashboards, which are the BI part of a data lake solution. It has streams, live streams. It also need to have a proper management and applications. So data lake can help us to resolve the nagging problems of accessibility and data integration. It can use big data infrastructure. It can enterprise and starting to pull together increasing data volumes for analytics or simply to store for undermine future use. A data lake can also be a way to gain more visibility or put an end to data silos. So many companies see data lake as an opportunity to capture a 360-degree view of their customers and to analyze social media trends. So nowadays, every industry has a potential data lake use case. In this presentation, we will go through a proper architecture provided by AWS using the well-architected framework, and we will also see a short demo on the BI part of AWS offering, that is the QuickSight dashboards. So if anyone is having any questions, you can ping in the chat and we will be answering those. So our next segment in S3 data lake. So AWS offers data lake, and the main component of AWS's data lake offering is S3. So why S3? We can see now. The first point of using S3 is its security. So AWS always offers us the different security factors with AWS S3. Then it has scalability on demand. It is durable against the failure of an entire AWS availability zone. It also serves for analytics, HPC, AIML, and media data processing. I think screen got. Yeah. And it integrates with third-party service providers, and it has wide range of data management features. So let's look into it in a bit detail. So what is the decoupling of storage and from compute data and processing? So in traditional Hadoop and data warehouse solutions, storage and compute are tightly coupled. So it makes very difficult to optimize cost and the data processing workflows. With Amazon S3, we can cost effectively store all the data types in their native forms. We can launch as many as few virtual servers as we need using AWS EC2, and we can also use AWS analytics tools to process our data. We can optimize our EC2 instances to provide the right ratio of CPU, memory, and also best bandwidth for our best performance. So this was about the storage and data processing decoupling, which is provided by AWS S3. Now we will see in detail what is centralized data architecture from S3. S3 makes it very easy to build a multi-tenant environment where many users can bring their own data analytics tools to a common set of data. So this improves both cost and data governance over that of traditional solutions, which require multiple copies of data to be distributed by across multiple processing platforms. S3 also integrates with clusterless and serverless AWS services like Athena, Redshift Spectrum, AWS Recognition, and AWS Glue to query and process the data. S3 also integrates with AWS Lambda. So, Lambda is a serverless computing which can run the code without provisioning or managing servers. With all of these capabilities, we can only pay for the actual amount of data we are processing for the compute time that we are consuming. Next is the different standardized API. So S3 RESTful APIs are simple. It is very easy to use and it is supported by the most major third-party independent software vendors, including leading Apache Hadoop and analytics tool vendors. So this allows customers to bring the tools that are most comfortable with the knowledgeable about to help them perform analytics on data on top of Amazon S3. So these are the driving factor of many companies to choose AWS S3 as their main data lake component. So we will go to the next segment right now, and that is the different 5 pillars of AWS well-architected framework. The first is operational excellence pillar. The best 5 design principle of this operational excellence pillar includes the performance operations as code, make frequent small reversible changes, refine operations procedures frequently, and anticipate the failure. So the operational excellence pillar includes the ability to support development and run workloads effectively, gain insight into their operation, and continuously improve supporting processes and procedures to deliver business value. You can find prescriptive guidance of implementation in the operational excellence pillar guiding documentation provided by AWS. The next factor is the security, and the design principles of the security are implementing a strong identity foundation, enable traceability, apply the security at all layers, automate security best practices, protect data in transit and both in rest, keeping people away from the data, prepare the security events. The security pillar includes the ability to protect the data, systems, and assets to take advantage of cloud technologies to improve the security. You can also find prescriptive guidance on implementation in the security pillar documentation provided by the AWS. The best practices of using the security pillar is before you architect any workload, you need to put in place practice that influence security. You will want to control who can do what. In addition, you also want to be able to identify security incidents, protect your systems and services, and maintain the confidentiality and integrity of the data through data protection. You should also have a well-defined and practiced process for responding for security incidents. These tools and technologies are important because they support objectives such as preventive financial loss or complying with the regulatory obligations. The third pillar is reliability, and the best design principles are the automatically recovering from the failure, test recovery procedures, scale horizontally to increase aggregate workload availability, stop guessing capacity, and also to manage change in the automation. To achieve reliability, you must start with the foundations, an environment where surface quotas and network topology accommodates the workload. The workload architecture of the distributed system must be designed to prevent and mitigate failures. The workload must handle changes in demand of requirements and it also must be designed to detect failure and automatically heal itself. Before architecting any system, foundational requirements that influence reliability should be in place. For example, you must have sufficient network bandwidth to your data center. These requirements are sometimes neglected because they are beyond a single project scope, but you should always take this into consideration because the neglect can have a significant impact on the ability to deliver a reliable system. In an on premise environment, what happens? This requirement can cause long lead times due to dependencies and therefore must incorporate it during the initial planning. With AWS, most of these functional requirements are already incorporated or may be addressed as needed. The cloud is designed to be essentially limitless, so it is the responsibility of AWS to satisfy the requirement for sufficient networking and compute capacity, while you are free to charge and change the resource size and allocation, such as the size of storage device or demand. Our fourth pillar for the architecture framework is performance efficiency. The design principle of performance efficiencies are democratize advanced technologies, go global in minutes, use serverless architectures, experiment more often, and consider mechanical sympathy. So you can take a data-driven approach to building this high-performance architecture. You can gather on all aspects from the architecture, from the high-level design to the selection and configuration of resource types. Reviewing your choice on a regular basis ensure you are taking advantage of the continually evolving AWS cloud. Monitoring ensures you are aware of any deviance from the expected performance. Make trade-offs in your architecture to improve performance, such as using compression or caching or relaxing consistently requirements. The optimal solution for a particular workload varies, and solutions more often combine multiple approaches. Well-architected workloads use multiple solutions, and it also enables different features to improve performance. The the fifth pillar is the cost optimization. The cost optimization pillar includes the ability to run any system to deliver business values at the lowest price point. The design principles are implement cloud financial management, adapt a consumption model, measure overall efficiency, top spending money on under if differentiated heavy lifting. Then you also analyze and attribute the expenditure. The best practices, as with the other pillars, there are trade-offs to consider. For example, do you want to optimize for speed to market for the cost? In some cases, it's best to optimize for speed, going to market quickly, shipping new features, or simply meeting a deadline. So rather than investing it in upfront cost optimization. Design decisions are very important, sometimes directed by the hassle rather than the data. And as the temptation always exists to overcompensate rather than spend some time benchmarking for the most cost optimal deployment, that might lead to over provisioned and under optimized deployments. Using these appropriate services, resources, and configuration for your workload is the key to the cost savings. So to conclude this well architecture framework, before we jump into next section, this framework provides us the architectural best practices across the five pillars for designing and operating reliable, secure, efficient, and cost-effective systems in the cloud. The framework provides a set of questions that allows us to review an existing or proposed architecture. It also provides a set of AWS best practice for each pillar. Using the framework in your architecture, it will always help you to produce stable and efficient system, which allows you to focus on the functional requirement. This is one example of the data lake architecture, which is very high level. So we will see the different components and how we are meeting the best practice over here. Many AWS services customers require a data storage and analytics solution that will offer them more agility and flexibility than traditional data management systems. A data lake is new and very increasingly popular way to store and analyze data because it allows companies to manage multiple data types from a wide variety of sources and to store data, structured and both unstructured, in a centralized repository. The AWS cloud provides many of the building blocks required to help customer implement a secure, flexible, and cost-effective data lake. This includes AWS managed services that help ingest, store, find, process, and analyze both structured and unstructured data. To support our customers at the data lakes, AWS offers the data lake solution, which is an automated reference implementation that deploys a highly available, cost-effective data lake architecture on the AWS cloud, along with a user-friendly console for searching and requesting the dataset. So this data lake on AWS solution is having the AWS Cloud Formation templates, which configures the AWS core services, which includes a suite of AWS Lambda microservices or Lambda functions, AWS Elasticsearch for robust search capabilities, Amazon Cognito for user authentication, AWS Glue for data transformation, and AWS Athena for analysis. The solution leverages the security, durability, and scalability of AWS S3 to manage the persistent catalog of organizational datasets and AWS DynamoDB to manage the corresponding metadata. Once a dataset is cataloged, its attribute and descriptive tags are always available to search on. User can search and browse available datasets in the solution console, and they can also create a list of data they require the access to. The solution always keeps track of the dataset a user selects and generates a manifest file with the secure access link to the desired content when the user checks out. So what are the salient features of this kind of architecture? The features concludes the data lake reference implementation, which leverages this data lake solution out of the box or as a reference implementation that you can customize to meet unique data management, search, and the processing needs. It has data lake flexibility or data access flexibility, leverage pre-signed AWS S3 URLs. So use an appropriate AWS identity and access management role for controlled yet direct access to datasets in S3. It also has federation sign-in. Optionally, you can enable servers or users to sign in through a SML identity provider such as Microsoft AD Federation services. It also has a managed storage layer, which is a secure and manage the storage and the retrieval of data in a managed AWS S3 bucket. Use a solution specific AWS key management services or the KMS key to encrypt the data at rest. And also you can use customer key to encrypt the data in transit. It also you can also take the help of AWS CLI. So provided AWS CLI or API to easily automate data lake activities or integrate the solution into existing data automation for data ingress, egress, and analytics. So this solution automatically creates an intuitive web-based console UI hosted in AWS S3, and it can always be delivered by AWS Cloud from accessing this console to easily manage the data lake users, data lake policies, add or remove data packages, search data packages, and also create manifest data sets for the additional analysis. So till this part, we saw what are the different use case or business needs of using a data lake. Why in this case industries are focusing mostly into the data lake and analytics. We also saw the 5 pillars of AWS well architected framework and how can we use these 5 pillars of AWS well architected framework to design our data lake based solution. Now we are coming into the BI and visualization part of the AWS Data Lake Services offering. So AWS is offering QuickSight, which is a BI tool or analytics tool, where we can analyze our data sets which are residing in AWS Data Lake. So I'll jump into a quick hands-on for QuickSight, how it looks, and we will also see the different graphs, charts, and offering QuickSight is giving us. So let me just open my AWS console, and then we will be going through the AWS QuickSight hands-on. So any question, if please till now, so you can ping up till we are going into the AWS console. Okay, so hope my screen is visible right now.
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, so this is a QuickSight layout. Whenever we are logging into the QuickSight account, you will be having this kind of visibility. It will, if we click here, it will show you the different options of AWS QuickSight. You can choose your specific region where you want to host your BI. You can also go to manage QuickSight. If I am going to the manage QuickSight, it will give us option to change our subscription. It will give us option to do the different account settings, then the permission, and also we can invite users from them using like we can share our analysis and our dashboards with those users with giving different permissions, as in we can give the users the permission to create analysis, or we can give them the permission to view the dashboard or analysis and do small hands-on. So if we see the left pane, it is showing us the different dashboards the QuickSight is having right now, the analysis and the data sets. So if we, before creating any analysis, we first need to have the data or the data sets. So if I go to a data set, and if I click on the new data set, we can see this QuickSight is having a number of different sources to be as a data set. It has sources like the files, CSV, Excel, JSON, any kind of file. It has also offering us the data sets as S3, Athena, then S3 Analytics from RDS, Redshift, PostgreSQL, SQL Server, Aurora. So these are the native AWS services which we can directly use to as a data set in QuickSight. Then it also offering us the data sets such as GitHub, from Snowflake, Twitter, Jira, Adobe, Teradata, all those things. Or it is also offering Pesto and Spark also as data set. So if we just, so how to add the data? If we just click on a specific option, we can select from any of the file and we can just upload it. So right now I'll not upload it, but these are the option. If you click on Athena option, you need to give a data source name over here. Then you need to create a data source, and you can actually point to a specific table or a view from Athena to be act as a data set. Similarly, you can edit AWS S3 manifest file. You can give a manifest file for a particular S3 location, and you can use S3 bucket or S3 files directly as a data source for QuickSight. So once your data set is ready, if you go to the data set, you will be, this data set will be listed over here. So we can see over here the all the data sets are in Spice as of now. So you can always use Spice to create a data set in QuickSight, and you can also use a direct query using to use a data set in QuickSight. So what is the benefit of using the Spice as a data set in QuickSight is it is when you import data into data set rather than using a direct SQL query, it becomes a Spice data set because of how it's stored. Spice is the Amazon QuickSight super fast parallel in-memory calculation engine. It's engineered to rapidly perform advanced calculation and serve data. In Enterprise Edition, data stored in price is always encrypted at rest. So these are different benefits of using Spice. If you don't want to use Spice, you can directly query your data from the different dataset options. So this is your analysis page where you can just click on new analysis and you need to click on the data set and AWS will provide you to start your analysis. So I'll just click on the pre-built analysis over here just to show how the analysis parts look and how you can play around over here or how you can create your own charts. So here we can see that three charts over here we have already implemented. One is a line chart, one is a pie chart, and one is the horizontal bar chart. So how we can create this visualization in S3? You just need to add and then you need to create add visual. So it will come over here. You can create or you can select different visual types, and these are the field lists from your data set, and this is the data set it will show which you are using as of now. And if you want to add a data set, so you can just simply click over here and this is the button to add a data set. So the beauty of using QuickSight is in a single sheet, if you want to add more than one data set and if you want to show the different charts using two different data sets in a single sheet, you can always do that without having a connection between these two data sets. So these are the different field list which your dataset is having currently. What you can do, you can just like click on the option of visualization you want to provide with, and you can click the fields from here, just like I can, and the legends are like that. These options or these green colored options means these are the measures, and these options means these are the dimensions, and this is the date type. So you can always change a specific date type to another type, like if we click over here and we can convert this measure to dimension and vice versa. So here we can see this, for this visual I have selected the date part, forecasting monthly revenue, and lead name. So here, as these two are dimension, I have grouped it by date and lead name, and the value it's coming as summed up of this measure, that is forecasted monthly revenue. You can always change this type, so by which aggregation you need to see your value, like it's grouped by date and lead name, and it is showing us the sum of monthly revenue per each lead name for a particular date. So if I want to change this aggregation, I can always change it to the different aggregation that is provided us with. And we can always format the number as number, currency, or percentage. We can change the format how it is being presented. We also have more formatting options where we can use a separator, then decimal places, till which it will show us the unit, and we can also show the negatives like this or in brackets. So one more thing is over here, that once this chart is already built, if I just duplicate this visual in the same sheet, so using this same fields or same data type, I can change it to different type. Like I can change it to different charts like tree map. I can change the same data type into tree map or pie. So based on our business needs, we just need to like bring the data set into the visual, and we can always do different analysis just within a single click. So using QuickSight, you don't need to know like large amount of coding. but just by simple drag and drop, you can do all the different analytics which are not always possible in other traditional BI tool, and it's very user friendly. So you can actually share this with your business user if they need to play around with the data. So other thing which I will like you over here, that it's a conditional formatting options you can have. You can show totals. This data, these visualizations, you can export it to CSV, Excel, and different actions also you can take. So if I go to conditional formatting, how it is giving me the option, we can select a specific column from this visual, from where we like need to add some formatting option which is specific condition based. So if my have one major column over here, that is the forecasting monthly revenue, if I click on it, I can add one icon and can add the text color, and I can also add the background color. So if we like see this, so if I choose this value and if I click on add background color, sum equal to a specific value, I can change the color, and if I apply, it will change the color to the specific background color. So these are very and here if I click on the icon and if I can custom the condition, so based on this color, if I can like it's 3 black, so if I color it the with the icon, so this kind of icon I can present it in the chart. So if I can select show icon only also, so it will show only the icons over here like it has came. So whenever our forecasted monthly revenue is like greater than this amount, it is showing us with this icon, and if whenever it's lesser than, it's showing us with this icon. So here the figures disappeared because what I did, I just selected only icon option. So if I remove this, so it will also show us the icons and as well as the figures. So this kind of options is very useful whenever we are creating an MIS report or whenever we are creating a financial report. So before seeing into the number, if we can see the how the our business is doing with some icons like at a glance, so it will be very easier for the business user to take the decisions. So whenever consulting with your clients or business partner, you can always give them this option, or you can always demonstrate this option to have a look with. We also have features like filters, parameters in QuickSight. So you can click on the any fields from where you can select the filter. So if I'm giving the region, so like if I here we have lead name. So if I select the lead name, and if I don't want to like show all the lead names over here. So from this filter list, I can like select some specific filters over here. So if I only select these two, others will not be visible in my dashboard. So these are different business case, so where we can directly filter it out with the specific amount or some specific positions or portions of our data set we need to present to our business users. We also can apply different theme over here. So like based on your visualization choice, you can change your background, and we can also use some dynamic parameter which we can add as a control over here. So I'll just give a quick demo over here. If we do create a parameter, we can give the parameter data type, how the parameter will be there. We can also set a dynamic default, and we can over create it. We can also present the parameter like control in our sheet, like control name. So here we can see that we can give the parameter a value, and if with any filter we just add this parameter type. So like how you can join the filter with the parameter. You can just click, this is just for a demo purpose. You can select this option as custom filter, and you need to click on use parameter, and you need to select a parameter. So for now we have this test as a parameter, so we can apply over here. So how it will happen that if I put a particular lead name in this test, so only those list will be coming up. So the sharing or publishing the dashboard here is also very easy. You need to like click on this share. You can publish the dashboard as giving any name, and you can create publish dashboard before sharing it with the other people. So you can how to share this dashboard. You can share the email address over here, and this whole report will directly go to their account, and they can log into the QuickSight and they can see this dashboard over here. So this view will they will show they will see whenever they will log into the QuickSight dashboard. They will not like whenever you are sharing a specific dashboard with a particular users, they will not be able to see the analysis pane, and they will not able be to add or remove any filter, or to add or remove any visuals. They will just be able to see that, and they will be doing the they will be having the control over the parameter, and they can pass the parameter to have a quick check on it. So if I again go to my QuickSight analysis, and if you want to share any analysis with anyone, so you can just share and share analysis over here options. So QuickSight is providing us different visual types. It is providing us donut chart, pie chart, the different kind of column chart, bar chart, stack bar chart. Then it's also provide us the pivot type, then normal table, then heat map, tree map, and the reference lines, line chart, even word cloud also. You can just click on here and you can add to different sheet. You can give the sheet name. You can also add title to your report like this. And as I have always already shown you that how to manage the QuickSight and how you can use we can add the users and all. So you can always do by managing QuickSight button over here. And you, if you want any like readily available help from AWS, you can just click on the tutorial videos over here, and you can always uh, have the option to see the better tutorial videos over here. So any questions till now? So I guess not. So I'll just stop my screen share. Okay, there are different questions. Inside won't Tableau, okay, instead of QuickSight, won't Tableau be actually more economic to use? So it's QuickSight is direct offering by AWS, and as Tableau is like you need to install Tableau on your AWS product, and you need to do all the admin activities and all. So it's like totally on top of your business choice, I would say. But if you want to build a native AWS data lake solution, QuickSight is the best option for you to use. If Lambda is not performing any transformation, where is the data transformation being done? Data transformation can be done on AWS Glue, and also like in our architecture case, it was AWS Glue performing the data transformation, and you can always use AWS EMR also, where you can do the data transformation works. Any other questions from anyone? Last, I can see that for which particular use case QuickSight is ideal. So, what are the data types supported by AWS? Okay, so use case, you mean QuickSight use case? We can have, if you say business wise, in any business functionalities, it can be a finance report, it can be MIS report, it can be data lake analytics solution. Everywhere QuickSight can be a good option to use if you see the industry specific use case. And if not, QuickSight is very the main function of using a QuickSight is it is giving you very much like independent access as a user to do the self-service and ad hoc analysis, which other BI tools may not always provide you. So as I was saying, showing you that you can share the dashboards and you can always share the analysis with your clients or business users, and they can add or remove any field whenever they want to, where they can tweak the reports based on their ad hoc analysis needs, and they can change the report, add filters, and always use the other options to tweak and use the reports. uh, what are the data types supported by AWS QuickSight? So data types you can always like if you want to use tables, so from directly on S3 you can use the S3 data set. You can use a Athena semantic layer. You can create a Athena semantic layer, and you can use the Athena dataset also in the QuickSight. And in normal, you can directly use CSV, Excel, JSON, XML, all these different kind of data types in QuickSight. And since Fabio, we can't let the and since AP surfaced from QuickSight. I think QuickSight is available in Asia Pacific zone, right? To answer your questions, it is available. Any other questions? So if you not in Mumbai, I guess. So if you want to use QuickSight in other you can use region peering also in like account to account peering from S3 to QuickSight, where you can change your region and other if you don't want to host it in other options. And which region you are saying? So not in Mumbai, I guess. Yes, QuickSight is giving you the option in Mumbai. So let me share my screen again. Hope it is visible. So if I go over here and I can show you the different region you can use as a QuickSight hosting. So all the prominent region in supported in the AWS QuickSight. And if you like, it may happen that visible, right? So you could see the QuickSight options, like different. Okay. And it may happen that in your one particular AWS account, like in client account, you have the QuickSight enabled, and in other account, you don't have the QuickSight enabled, and where you are creating the AWS data lake. So you can do account peering, and you can actually keep your data in one AWS account, and you can host your QuickSight reporting in other AWS account. So this account peering in QuickSight is always possible. QuickSight can be integrated with third-party services. So if I go to the data sets, I'm sharing the screen again. So if you see these different third-party services, QuickSight is now giving you the choice to be integrated. So it is having Pesto, Spark, it is having Teradata, Snowflake, GitHub, Jira, Adobe, Twitter, ServiceNow, all these things. So any questions always welcome. And so I can take the questions in background also, and I can reply in the chat. So I'd like Ankit to take over and conclude the sessions, and the questions are always welcome, and I'll reply it in the chat. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Binita. It was excellent session, and hope the viewers has enjoyed this session, and they have gained some learning about analytics and QuickSight and data lake. Thank you so much, Binita, once again. With that, we are at the end of this today's meetup. Hope you have enjoyed Kaushik's as well as the Binita session, and it was very informative. We have, as I mentioned you in the beginning, we have a big event coming this year, which is AWS Community Day, which is planned on 16th and 17th of October. Please register for the event, and we will see you there. Thank you so much on behalf of AWS Users Group Kolkata. I would like to thank all the speakers and the viewers for joining this session. Till the next session, stay tuned. Bye bye.